I'll have some things. Okay. Okay. I'll have something better. You record this. Nice. So what I'll do is that I'll create a button with an idea of add, not add card. Okay. Add card. Something like this. And in this, add item. Okay. So this is the button. And I'll also have a div with an idea of what a drop zone. Okay. So why I'm making drop zone? Because in this particular div only, I'm going to have all my cards. Okay. And I'll have one thing called div, which is showing up something like pop-up. Okay. And this pop-up is a kind of static one. Okay. And in this pop-up, what should it have? It should have something like, it should have a h3, which tells that add an event. Okay. And then it will have an input with input only. Okay, we can select that input as well, and it will have two buttons. Okay, one is with an idea of add, and it says add, and the other one with an idea of what? Close. Okay. Okay, and in this we will have the close text. So let me save that, and you see we got this thing. So let me shape this pop-up first. So let me get back to pop-up class. Okay, and in this I'll keep a width to be like 60 VW for this particular screen. Okay, and I'll give a background color like this, just light blue. Okay, something like this, and we got that. And I'll make the flex to be sorry, display to be flex, something like this. Okay, and also I'll make the flex direction to be what? Column. Now you see all we got into column, and I want to have these two buttons side by side. So to have that, what should I do? I have to wrap them inside another div. Okay. So there is another div, and inside that I have this. Okay. Now for this button, for this is div which is present inside pop-up class. So how can I select that div inside my index.js? Simply pop-up greater than the div. Okay, only single div is there, so that means it is going to target these two buttons. Okay, and for this I'll have some padding, or I'll have some padding only, let us say 30 pixels. And you see we got the padding around this particular entire box. And for this particular box, I'll have a background color just to show you, white. Okay, or background green, something like this, so that you can see what object I'm talking about. And in this, I'm going to have these two buttons in a specific manner. So that's why I'm going to make its display also to be flex. Okay, now its display is flex, and flex direction I want to, or flex flow, I want to have row and wrap. Okay, something like this. And you see wrap, and I want to have a space evenly for it. So justify content space evenly, so the buttons will align properly now, like this. And for this button, how can I select those buttons? So simply again by using this selector only, pop-up greater than div is going to target that, and inside that, if I want to target the buttons, I can target like this. So I'll have some padding of let us say 5 pixels for both the buttons, something like this, and we got the padding. And then I'll remove the border as well for it, border none, because by default there is a border for the buttons. And then I'll have something like, I'll increase the padding to be 10 pixels, which makes better. And I'll also add some background color of tomato, which makes the background color of tomato for it. And I'll make the color of the text to be white, okay, like this. And I'll give some border radius for both the buttons, something like this, 5 pixels. And you see now they got shaped. Okay. And let me remove the green background color because I don't want that. Okay. Now for this input also, I'll shape this input also. How can I shape? Simply pop up inside that input, and this input should have a padding of let us say 10 pixels again. Okay, something like this, and it should have a no border. By default, there is a border for it. No border, something like this, and no border is there. And width, I want to set it up to something like 30 VW. Okay, and here I'll make the justify content. Yeah, justify content to be center, and every element will get centered. Actually,
external
display flex column, justify content should work. No, here I will have to work on the align items, align content, not align items. Yes, now you see everything got centered. Okay. And for this one, I'll have to give some width of 50 VW or something like 100%. So I'm not going to tell everything. So just I'm going to make a design. And on focus, I want to remove this. So how can I remove? Simply pop-up input upon focus. I just need to remove that outline because by default we were getting an outline, right? So what outline? When I focus on this, we are getting an outline. So I just wanted to remove that outline. So how can I can simply use this outline to be none. Okay, now you see if I click on this, it will be removed. So this is for what? This is for entire pop-up. Okay, and for pop-up also, I would like to have some border radius. So where can I add? Here I can add border radius, something like 20 pixels. So that makes all the radius to be very good. Okay, now you see, and for this buttons also, I'd like to make the cursor to be pointer, something like this. And you see, we got pointers now. Okay, all right. So we made the pop-up, and by default, this pop-up should not be visible. Okay, so I make the display to be none at the end. Hello? Hello? Yes. Hello?
yes, sir.
Yeah, now I made the display to be none, and actually display flex is executed at line number 4 and display none executed at line number 8. So whatever the last one, it will execute line by line. So display will be overwritten with line and none at the end. Okay, now I have somehow hidden that. Okay, and whenever I click on this add item, it has to be shown, right?
Yes, sir.
So I'll make that functionality function. I'll have to target this button. So button, what is this button? Let us see in HTML, what is the add card button, right? So how can I select? Simply document dot query selector. What is that? Add card. Add card or what it is? Yeah, add card only. Yes. So when I click on this button, I have to attach event listener for it. So button dot add event listener. What should I have? Upon click event. So I'll pass the click event first, and again I'll pass another function. And in this function, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show the pop-up first, right? So what I'll do, show the pop-up first. So how can I show the pop-up? Simply, I'll have to select that first. How can I select? Simply document dot get elements by class name, which is pop-up. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Pop-up. And for this pop-up, I'll have to capture the first element, which is this one. And for this pop-up, I would like to have the style dot display. I'm not going to capture it in another variable, but I'm going to directly make it into like this. Okay, so I made it to flex. Now when I click on this, what happened? That got shown up. Okay, and in this pop-up, I want to have it at the center. So to have it at the center, what should I make? I have to make the margin to be on. Something like this. Now you see, let me refresh, and when I click on this, we got that pop-up. Okay. Okay. Now, if you want some pop-up, something also for it, I can also make some height of, let us say, 40 VWH.
But actually, in second project we have done, we have to remove all HTML parts and we have to go through this.
What in project? What you have to do?
In second project, we have just added the 3 cards in through HTML and CSS. Now we have to just create a division that will be empty, and after
okay, then that makes very easy because you might have already worked on CSS and HTML, right? You don't need to write all this again. Okay, then But for this, I'm going to have a margin top of, this is for horizontal, and for top, I want to have.
Learn this implementation. I have to divide study element, and now I have to divide this event listener of last 4 classes that you have taught.
Okay. So I'll have to center this. So how much totally 100 VH is there? And in that I'll remove the 25%, 25 VH, 25 VH. And in this 25 VH, I'll keep the 50%. That means pi 2.
VH, not CH.
Okay. So something like this. So it is going to center this item exactly. Okay. This button, when I click on this, and let me refresh and click on this. You see the button gone there, and we got this. Okay. Let me make this button to be at the topmost. Card open. What was the ID for that? Add card. So I'll select that by using add card and make its position to be. Okay, actually I'm writing a lot in CSS. I don't need to write all this. So position absolute, and I'll make a top to be 0. Okay, and left to be 0. So it will be all the time at the top. Okay, let me click on this. And when I click on this, we got this pop-up. And we'll enter something. And when I click on this add, it has to hide. And this value, with this value, I need to create another document, right? I mean, another card I have to create. So for this add, I have to attach another event listener for this button, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So how can I attach another event listener? Simply, I'll have to take add card, which is a button, add card button. So document dot elements, get element, no, get element by ID. So I want to target that button first. Okay, this button, which is having an ID of add. So I can select this like this and add button, add card button dot add event listener. So for this, I'm going to add an event, which is click again. So when I add this, what will happen? I capture the event in this. Okay. And for this, I want to get the parent of this. That means for this parent, who is the parent for this? Because I'm interested to capture this input, right? This input value. So I'm interested to capture this input value in a variable. Okay. So how can I do that? Simply upon clicking on this, I'll execute this function. So this is basically going to this e dot target is going to target this button. So how can I get the parent of that? E dot target is the button on which I clicked, which is this add button. And to get the parent, I can simply use this parent node. Yes or no? And to get the parent of it, I'll use another parent node. Okay. So this I'm going to take as pop-up. Okay. Or simply I can target the pop-up also instead of making this much complex. I can simply target. I don't need this. So how can I target the pop-up? Or else I can give some ID directly for this, which is input. Okay. Only a single ID with an input is there, and I want to capture the value of that. So how can I capture that? Let value. Are you understanding or not? Document dot get element by ID, which is input. Okay. And for this, I want to get the value. Okay, something like this. Okay. So I got the value and I set this value attribute. Now with this value, I want to create card and append. With what value? With this value. So I'm going to make a call for another function. Now it's my responsibility to write that function, and that function is going to hide that. That function is going to append a new card. And before that, before appending a new card, what should I do? I have to close the pop-up. Okay. So for closing the pop-up, I'll make the close pop-up over here. Okay. So I'll write two functions over here. Function close pop-up. It just closes the pop-up. So how can I close? Document dot get element by ID pop-up. Right? Pop-up is the pop-up. I need to have the ID to be pop-up. ID also I'll attach with an ID of pop-up. Okay. Now I want to close this one document.getElement by ID pop-up, and I want to make its display to be what?
Display will be none.
Simply like this. So this function, whenever this function gets executed, what will happen? It will hide the pop-up. So I'm calling the hide here, and then I'm calling this one. Okay. Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what I'll do now is that now I'll have to write about this function, which is this one. So function, and this function is going to take some value. So with this value, I'm interested to append a code. So firstly, I'll create a div. Okay, div with document dot create element with an ID of what? With the diagram of div. And for this div, I would like to have inner text.
క్రియేట్ చేసే ఉంది కదా ఆల్రెడీ, మళ్ళీ క్రియేట్ చేయడం దానికి.
అది డ్రాప్ జోన్, చాలా కార్డ్స్ యాడ్ చేయాలి మనం, ఒక సింగిల్ కార్డ్ కాదు. ఈ డ్రాప్ జోన్ లో మనం ఈ కార్డ్స్ అన్నిటిని అపెండ్ చేయాలి. సో we need to append all these cards whatever created inside the drop zone. Okay. Now in the global, I'll create this one, which is no, here only I'll create the let drop zone document dot get by ID. Okay, so drop zone dot append child whom div I want to append, and for this div, what should I have? I need to have some other styling like style dot width. Okay, something like 200 pixels, 100 pixels width. Okay, and div dot style dot. Okay, or else I can directly attach a class name, right? Instead of all writing all this, class name of card. Okay, something like this. So here in CSS, I like to write the class name card for this. Okay, and width of 100 pixels. Background color of something like light blue. Okay, and then a padding of, let us say, 1 pixels. Or a radius of 10 pixels, something like this. Okay, so I think this works now. So when I click on this, we got this. I'll write Arvind is an event, and when I click on this add, what will happen? We got the card over here with the value of Arvind. Okay, so when I click again, and if I had something like Navin, and when I click on this add again, and you see we got another card. So by default, we need to make the drop zone styling also. So to make the drop zone styling, so I'll select the drop zone here. And for this, I'll make the display to be flex and flex row brag, right? And then justify content is between. Okay, so like this, we'll get like this. So when I add a new card with side, so when I add another thing like Suman, so I'll get that.
Sir, if we are adding infinite times, okay, but if you want some of the limit, that means we got only 5. Is any restrictions for that?
So to make a restriction, what will happen is that you'll have to check the count of this each time. Okay, you make a counter at the top. Let count is equal to 0. So each time when you're adding, you make the count to be plus. Okay, and if count is greater than, let us say, 5, you have to return this, and return, you just need to make a return. That means the function will break over here and it will not execute these instructions anymore. And before that, you need to make a console of that you have exhausted the cards. Okay, something like this. You can make something like this. Okay, so in create append card append, whenever you pass this value, you will get this thing, or else you will see some alert message. Alert is the one by using this function you can alert something. So alert, and it is a result function. So in this, you have already created what? You have already created. No, here I have to make the complex plus, and you have to know why. Okay, I'll remove the complex plus here. Okay, created 5 cards. So if you try to add more than 5 cards, what will happen? It will show up this message. As of now, let me make it to 2 only, and let me save. And you see the first card, which is something like this, and let me have another card, which is something like this, and let me try to have another card, which is something like this, and let me have another card, something like this. Actually, for 3, we were supposed to keep it over here. So for 3, we are getting this. Let me start doing things. First card I have added, second card, and for this we will get an error. You see, we got a pop-up showing that you have already created 5 cards, not 5 but 2. We have to say. Okay, so like this we can test it. So I'll paste this code for you. If you want, you can go through this and try to complete the project. Okay. Here. Yes. So that's all about the project. See, it is very easy. You can do that. That's not going to be difficult. All the things. Did I use anything new which you